Today is August 4th. And Daniel Vila's with us here also in the studio. Hey, Daniel.
Nellie Bailey also, Camacaro, Nellie Bailey, and Daniel Vila. And we have a hot rolling program for you today. We expect to have a student leader, organizer from Queens College speaking with us. We hope to have a person speaking who is a victim of a housing plan by the city of Hoboken to remove, to destroy public housing and substitute it with luxury and upper middle class housing. We hope to have the ambassador from Bolivia to be interviewed on what's going on with the anti-imperialist, anti-capitalist summit, and we also hope to have an interview with street vendors in Queens Junction Boulevard who are really being hassled by the police. These will be fast, bang, bang, bang. We have no premium to offer you. Our premium is going to be our program. What we are offering you, the listeners, is the quality and the exclusivity of the program that you listen to on WBAI, and that's why we're going to, from the get-go, please urge you to please call 516-620-3602, 516-620-3602. Please support this station. You know the crisis that's going on with the transmitter. We have a special fund for it. All types of economic crises are hitting WBAI from all corners. But in any case, we will be asking you, please support. If you like the program that you hear today, these will be quick 5 and 7 minute interviews, but giving you an idea of what WBAI's La Voz Latina program, which usually comes to you in Spanish, and so most people do not listen to it on WBAI because most folks don't listen to the Spanish. But we also will be asking you to support this program in English today and support the station. We have Nellie Bailey with us, a housing activist in Harlem for many, many, many years, as you know, and she has an interview with a sister resident of public housing who is a victim, with many thousands others, of gentrification out in Hoboken. Nellie.
All right. Well, Danny, thanks so much for inviting me to be a guest on this very special edition here on BAI. Well, we have our first guest, and our first guest is a public housing resident living in Hoboken, New Jersey, that according to the 2010 U.S. Census has a population of about 50,000, of which whites account for 82% of the population, Hispanics, Latino, 15.2%, and African Americans, 3.5%. Hoboken is part of the New York metropolitan area and is the site of the Hoboken Terminal, a major transportation hub for the region, and an essential element for the city's gentrification agenda, primarily the demolition of public housing and displacement of blacks. Hoboken, as we all know, has a long history of deeply embedded racism. Real estate speculation in Hoboken, which is about 15 minutes away, a subway ride from Midtown Manhattan, exploded in the 1980s around the time of a rash of suspected arson for profit fires, pretty much like the Bronx. And we all remember that, don't we? Tenements were converted to condominiums at a breakneck speed, and the boom has continued, as has the profitable relationship between real estate investors and City Hall that has parceled out this land with tax abatements to developers, while it has attacked rent control. With the exception of Section 8 and public housing, there is no affordable housing stock remaining in Hoboken. And now we have seen, or we are, in fact, now there is an initiated Vision 2020 redevelopment project that was initiated by the Hoboken Housing Authority, headed by Carmelo Garcia. Our guest, who has asked to remain anonymous because of possible retaliations, will now join us. Welcome to the program.
Thank you so very much.
Let's start with the 2020 Vision Project and why you and others described it as primarily a racist displacement development of black people.
Well, what Vision 2020 will do is, and one of their agendas obviously is to make the city of Hoboken all white and rich. What they're going to do is demolish, as you mentioned, all of the projects. Now, all the projects are in sound physical condition. They're in excellent condition. They're in better condition than probably 90% of the apartments in, let's say, Manhattan. So there's no reason to demolish them except to take away tenants' rights, because once they're demolished and give it over to private developers, it means that the people who live here will no longer have any rights to live in the new buildings, or for that matter, live in the city of Hoboken. The city of Hoboken is a very racist city. There's no place for blacks and Hispanics to live once these buildings are demolished.
Now, the Hoboken Housing Authority has claimed that, in fact, all of the tenants currently living in the housing development, public housing development, will be relocated and brought back, and everyone will have their home, and no one, in fact, will be displaced. Now, there is a great deal of unspoken questions about this. First of all, when they return, the rents are going to be restructured. And secondly, in our discussion and what I've read, they're looking at a major redevelopment, 1/3 luxury, 1/3 moderate income, and 1/3 low income. And so how is it possible with those numbers and percentages that people who are currently living in public housing and those complexes will be able to come back?
Well, they won't. And as you mentioned, not only, according to Carmelo Garcia's own talk, when he mentions 1/3 luxury, 1/3 moderate, 1/3 low income, we have 806 current housing development units. And the total units in this luxury building will be 1,002, which means that 473 people of color will be displaced immediately. And of those who may, which is very unlikely, come into the low-income housing, as you mentioned, they will just restructure the housing so that the tenants will not be able to afford to live there. One of the methods are probably you will have to pay your own electric, gas, water, heat, parking fees. So, there's ways to get tenants out. But we who live in the city of Hoboken don't believe that will happen at all because, let's be honest, wealthy white people don't want to live next to poor white people, which brings up another fight in Hoboken, which is for rent control. So they want to get rid of rent control because they want to get rid of poor white people. Now, there is no way they're going to have blacks and Hispanics. The whole point of the development is to make the maximum amount of profits. There is no way developers are going to invest multi-millions of dollars and not get an investment. And wealthy white people are not going to pay top market full value for an apartment if there's blacks and Hispanics living there. So we know we are not moving into those buildings. It's not going to happen because otherwise they would not be able to sell those apartments at the full market rate. This is just a way to pacify tenants so that we will allow this to happen, so they can take our homes away from us and displace us from this town permanently.
Well, given this assault against working class people, both white and black, are there any alliances that are emerging, any collaborations of resistance against this demolition of public housing? Because once it's public housing, this public housing stock is demolished, it surely will not come back. So what does the landscape look like in terms of a working class alliance?
Well, the problem right now is that the tenants are being lied to. There's disinformation going on. For example, they're saying that if you don't vote for Vision 2020, it means they're going to raise the buildings. No, that's a lie. The buildings will absolutely be demolished and raised if 2020 passes. So we're trying to get the word out. And the big problem is that Carmelo Garcia, he and his group and the developers have goons. And tenants were terrorized, were being threatened with eviction, bodily harm, and so much for democracy in this country.
Our final question, because we are near the end here.
Oh, yes.
The Obama administration has certainly made clear that it wants to privatize public housing, and this demolition cannot take place without the okay of HUD. Now, what is the role? What do you see as the role of the federal government in terms of this demolition?
Very quickly, and I'll give information for everyone if they want to join the cause. Very quickly, I mean, for the first time in U.S. history, an average black family will not live in a black community. This will disempower black people. We'll have less voting rights, especially if we're in far suburban areas. It'll be difficult for us to mobilize. So this is an issue of disempowering and making homeless black and Hispanic people of color.
And what is the contact information in case people want to support this this movement, the resistance against the demolition of public housing in Hoboken? What's your contact information?
Save the projects at yahoo.com, and the phone number is 201-855-9732. I'll repeat the phone number, 201-855-9732. I was just told we have a new Facebook page, and the Facebook page is Save the Hoboken Projects.
Okay, thank you very much. And
thank you.
For all of you who are listening, if you want more information about this demolition, because this really represents not only the privatization but also the demolition of public housing and the deconcentration of blacks and other working class people across the country. Danny, back to you.
Well, thank you so much, Nellie. And William, take it away.
Yes.